Good evening. It's 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 25th. I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education. Ms. Stoiko, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Coca?
Here.
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Ms. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Thank you. Item B, approval of the agenda. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the agenda of the January 25th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education, adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the board, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Welcome especially to all of our top Tiger families that made it out on this cold day. Hopefully you got a little extra time to sleep in with our calamity day this morning. It's nice to see all of your faces, and welcome to our Staff Star awardee that we're going to hear about later as well. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. Number 2, informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It's not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, they must notify the superintendent and or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by an announcement of their name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found in your electronic device at the address shown on the screen, and for your convenience, there are hard copies of the board agenda on the librarian's desk. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is February 8th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. right here in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library. Now for our Pledge of Allegiance and positive reflection, Mrs. Schaefer.
Please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And for my positive reflection for tonight is my new favorite quote from Nelson Mandela. I never lose, I either win or I learn.
Thank you. Now on to item D, presentations. First up, I will recognize Ms. Stoiko and Dr. Selko for a presentation.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know, January is School Board Recognition Month, and so we're going to take a few minutes today to recognize our 5 board members. School board members exemplify local citizen control and decision-making in education. They volunteer hundreds of hours and an immeasurable amount of energy to ensure that our schools are providing the best education possible for the children of our community. For all their dedication, we are taking this opportunity to show them our appreciation during School Board Recognition Month. School board members are citizens whose decisions affect our children. What they learn, who will teach them, and what kinds of facilities house their classrooms. These are men and women elected to establish the policies that provide the framework for our public schools. They represent you, and they take this responsibility seriously by attending lengthy, sometimes challenging, meetings, conferences, and institutes where they broaden their knowledge about education during numerous conversations about the schools and sessions before the Ohio General Assembly. On a side note, I can say I've had many board members in my career, and they do spend a lot of time going to different workshops, learning, always trying to improve and be a better board member, which is very much appreciated, at least from my standpoint. Our school board is one of more than 700 such boards across the state. These boards enable us to have local controlled public schools, meaning that local elected representatives who understands the community's unique problems, values, culture, and circumstances, make decisions on school programming. With the advice and counsel of the educational professionals they hire, our school board has an impact on virtually every aspect of our schools. It is a huge responsibility and one that should not be taken lightly. Too often, we neglect to recognize the dedication and hard work of these men and women who represent us. The staff and students of our school district are asking all local citizens to take a moment to tell a school board member, thanks for caring about our children's education. So thank you to the dedicated men and women who make it possible for local citizens to have a say about education in our community. We salute the public servants of the Cuyahoga Falls City School District, whose dedication and civic responsibility make local control of public schools in our community possible. We applaud them for their vision and voice to help shape a better tomorrow. And then I have a proclamation with Mr. Gomez really loves. I proclaim things. Whereas the mission of the public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society and ever-changing world, and whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child, and whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students, and whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system. And whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now therefore we, Dr. Andrea Selico, Superintendent, and Ms. Christy Stoikwe, myself, Treasurer, do hereby declare our appreciation to the members of the Cuyahoga Falls City School Board and proclaim the month of January 2023 as School Board Recognition Month in the city of Cuyahoga Falls and the village of Silver Lake. All citizens join us in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christy, and I'm trying to see. Oh, yep, yes, I have something to read. I was just going to stay here because you did the proclamation. I felt it was more formal, so we like to tag team this evening. So, just a few remarks, really from more of the students and educational side of things, and just more of a practical stance from me. Is one, I'm relatively new to the district, so haven't even been here a year, but I too have been in school administration for more than a couple of decades, and have worked with a number of board members, and have had, just various experiences, and I just have a great appreciation for the 5 people that you see before you this evening. Very, very dedicated to our children, first and foremost, and they're always the first to make sure that we are recognizing students. That's why many of you are here this evening, and that they're not often recognized themselves. And so tonight is also a little bit about them, and I just want them to know how much I appreciate their support. I appreciate their visibility in the community, their communication with their constituents and their stakeholders, which is all of you, and that, again, their primary concern is children, first and foremost, and that's what actually I love the most about them. So thank you to all of you. Two things that were supposed to happen this evening, but this snow day that never really came to fruition. That's a sore topic, so we're not going to dwell on it, but talk about getting it wrong today. So I'm sure students are happy. I too am a parent, and so my child was off as well, and so we know how parents feel about these things. So my apologies to getting it wrong, but I guess I was in a lot of other company with that. So, but we were supposed to have some singers here this evening to do a performance for our board members, so we'll postpone that to next time. But we also do have a special gift. One of the things I tried to do during Board Recognition Month, and Ms. Stoikwe and I talked about it, is involving our students, because again, that's why they're here. So the performance really would have been a nice touch and tribute to you and to see the children themselves. But we do have part 2, which is a gift that our students made for them. So I'm just going to read a little description, and then I'm going to give them each of their gifts. So these 16 by 20 inch canvases, which are behind me and I'll get in a moment, were recycled from a previous project and designed for each of the 5 board members by DeWitt students. Fifth grade classes created the backgrounds for all 5 pieces, and 2 of them were created by pouring paint along the top of the canvas and using a squeegee to drag the paints across the surface in order to create an abstract background. 3 of the canvases were painted black. Then they were also accented with pieces of gold wrapping paper to create a geometric surface. The faces of the tigers were painted by 5 talented 4th graders, and if you turn your canvas over when you get it, you will see a photograph of the 4th grader that painted your specific canvas, which I thought was really kind of cool. We hope, and this is coming from Ms. Scoff, who is the art teacher, that these Black Tiger artworks will convey to you their appreciation for what you do for our school district and our community, and for the continued commitment you have to our students. So with that, I'm going to show oops, wrong way, this one. I tried to hide them, but Mr. Gomez, I didn't have my coat over them. I didn't know I had to do that.
It's a surprise for the rest of us.
Oh,
wow.
All right.
oh, it's beautiful.
So we have our first one here. So this was made by, again, a 4th grade student. So I don't know, I'm just going to give it to you there, Miss.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. And then this one is going this way. So,
Oh, wow.
and we have another one here. So you can see their creativity.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so
And what you can see on the back is a photo with their names. Who's from DeWitt here this evening? I see Miss Trish over there. Where are DeWitt students?
It's all right.
Are we trying to
I don't
swap?
like my brother.
Oh, I know, yes. Yes, and one. Okay. So, a nice round of applause. Picture would be great.
This way. Don't cover your face, please.
Well, it's got arch.
All right, 2 through 1. That's beautiful. Awesome.
I'm actually going to get one as well. Don't
Oh.
I have to tweet it out this evening. Great. Thank you. I don't like the chords. Okay,
We
thanks.
could stand up too.
We could.
We'll be here. We can get better ones later. We'll be here all night. Let's get our family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'd much rather recognize our staff and students, so that's what we're going to do now. So number 2 is our Staff Star Award. Every month we get to recognize an outstanding staff member, and I'm going to bring up Mrs. McClure and ask her to lead our Staff Star presentation.
Hi, everybody. So our Staff Star is an opportunity for our staff members to recognize the shining stars that are amongst them. So they nominate folks just for doing their jobs and doing it really, really well. So this evening we are recognizing Chris Shaw. Chris, come on up. Chris is, well, what doesn't she do? Let's start with that. She is in charge of all of our registration. She takes care of all of our EMIS, which is all of our funding, coding. She is the master of the spreadsheet, and she is able to pull all of the data kind of things. So when you register your children, you may have seen Michelle down in her office in Student Services. So she was recognized by some of the folks that work in her office, so I'm going to read to you.
Nice?
They were very nice. I had to cross a few things out. So, Chris goes above and beyond to help students and ensure their success each and every day. She listens to parents and guides them through the sometimes complicated process of registering their children and works hard to make sure that each student can start school in Cuyahoga Falls as soon as possible. She goes above and beyond to help out all employees and works in the different schools to help the secretaries and the principals with the registration system to make sure that all the students are in their system and everything is correct. Most recently, Chris personally helped a student to re-register after the student had attended a different system but wanted to come back to Cuyahoga Falls, which is the smart thing to do. She helped him with the whole process one-on-one and then welcomed him back to our Black Tiger family. Chris always stops what she's doing to help out a student or a parent or employee no matter what. And she deserves this award so very much, and I cannot agree more. So thank you, Chris, for everything. This is our STAR Award. It says, in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the achievement of Cuyahoga Falls City School District students and support of Cuyahoga Falls City School District staff members. So there you go. That's for you. Thank you so much.
This is my 9th year here in Cuyahoga Falls, and I just want to say it's every year gets better. I came to help. I hope I help, and I'm very humbled and honored by this award. Thank you.
Well deserved.
Now for number 3, under presentations is our Top Tigers recognition. I'll ask Dr. Selko to take it away.
Good evening again. And Ms. Shaw, don't go anywhere because we're going to take your picture once we get back there, okay? All right. How's everybody? We excited? Yeah, I am very excited. All right. This is my favorite part of my duties at board meetings. No offense, board members, but I do enjoy seeing all our families and children here. And also, I often overlook, but our administrators are great about becoming our principals in support of your children, so I think they should be recognized. So if I may just read just a short description of why you're here this evening and what this all means. So Top Tiger is an award given by the Board of Education to students from each building each month. The students are chosen by various staff members in their buildings. I get the distinct honor of reading each nomination. I'm going to ask that when I announce the student's name, now listen students, ready? Are we listening? You're going to come forward, and then I'm going to read the description of why you were chosen. We're going to embarrass you a little bit. After that, I ask that each student come up, and at that time, you're also going to come over here and receive your bag from Mrs. Schaefer. She's my helper this evening. And after all of our students have been honored, we will await directions from Mr. Fry, so he's here this evening to take your pictures in the back. And we will take one group picture. So, and parents or guardians, whoever's here this evening, if you'd like to come back and take a picture, you're more than welcome to do that, and as well as your child being up front. I would also like to add that once we are finished, you do not have to stick around, even though it is always enjoyable. We've discussed many great things, but we understand that if you have to go afterwards, we're not offended. And there are also many generous community sponsors that make this happen, including our Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and Alumni Association. And I would like to thank all of our partners who encourage our students to be the best that they can. We really do have a community that embraces our children. And at this time, I would like to bring forward one of them, which is Gary Metcalf, and he's the executive director of the foundation. He's just going to say just a few words.
Congratulations to the Top Tigers this evening and to our great school board. We'd like to thank the sponsors, Donato's Pizza, Dietz's Florist, and Young Screen Printing. They donate different products. Some of the things that the Schools Foundation does, we sponsor, we award you one of these nice t-shirts. So after the award ceremony, go out to the main hallway, hang a left, and you'll see me waving you down to my classroom, and you'll get one of these nice t-shirts. In May, you will get more information about marching in the Memorial Day Parade. So wear one of your nice t-shirt, and I'd like to see everybody, and parents are included, grandparents, aunts and uncles, to march in the Memorial Day Parade. Some of the other things the foundation does, we assist with class reunions, we sponsor all class reunions, we honor distinguished alumni, we have teacher grants. In the last 9 years I've been doing this, the foundation has awarded over $50,000 worth of teacher grants. And last but not least, we help our graduating seniors with scholarships, and we've awarded over $1 million of scholarships in the last 9 years. And we could not do it without the friends of the school's foundation and our alumni. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Gary. The foundation, again, I can't say enough great things about them and their dedication to our students as well. And over $1 million, I mean, that's impressive. That's a lot of fundraising and real dedication. And I sit on the foundation as well with them as a member in it, and I just watch the work they do. So thank you again. All right, now are we really ready? Okay, all right. So we're gonna get started, and I'm not even gonna try to surprise you. We're gonna go in alphabetical order, as long as these stayed in alphabetical order after I prove them. So I think we're okay. So first, I'd like to recognize our students from DeWitt. So our first student of the evening, and I hope everyone is here, but I based on the crowd, I'm assuming not everyone is here, but we'll still read about every child. So Addie Bunnell. Okay, great. Addie is a special second grader in Mrs. Thompson's class at DeWitt Elementary School. Since the start of the school year, Addie has worked very hard to learn routines, show her best responsibility, and to give her best effort. As the school year has continued, Addie has not only been consistent in her efforts, but has also shown progress and growing confidence. Addie is very organized, attentive, and always ready to participate in class. That's impressive to be organized at your age. Adults don't even master that yet. Addie takes pride in showing her Black Tiger Pride behavior. She takes it very seriously and always with a positive attitude and smile. Addie is always very polite and kind to others. With her quiet leadership, Addie displays a wonderful example to her classmates. Mrs. Thompson is thrilled to see Addie's continued efforts and the pride she has to always work hard and try her very best. She is so proud to name Addie a Cuyahoga Falls top Tiger. Congratulations. Mr. Fry, are they going to come back there? Yes. Addie, if you don't mind, honey, will you go straight back there? We're going to get your picture, and then we'll get a group picture. All right. Next from DeWitt, we have Henry Smith. Is Henry here? Henry, you are having a great year in second grade. You know that? All right, good. Henry is a role model student who leads by example. Henry is an enthusiastic learner who tackles his schoolwork eagerly and with a positive attitude. His behavior sets the standard for our class as he consistently uses his best effort throughout his entire school day. Henry listens attentively as he values what others have to say and is always willing to help a classmate. In addition to being a role model, Henry has had success with the second grade curriculum. He is making wonderful strides in reading and excelling in math. Mrs. Lance is so proud of Henry. She knows he will continue to have a wonderful school year. She states, "I am truly lucky to be his second grade teacher." Next, we have Lincoln School. All right. Gabriel Nicholson. Gabriel? Go by Gabe. There's a note here that says you're called Gabe. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, then I think you're in the right place. I just wanted to stump you to see if you were listening. All right, Gabe. Gabe is an outstanding student and classmate. He comes to school with a positive attitude and shows Black Tiger Pride daily. Gabe enjoys math and science. He loves a good challenge to enrich his learning and always puts forth effort into his work. Outside of school, Gabe likes golfing, playing baseball, and spending time with his friends. He shows kindness to his peers and always includes others. He is a role model in Mrs. Hayes' class, and she is so happy to nominate Gabe as a top Tiger. Congratulations, Gabe. Just about, very similar anyway. All right, Laura, you ready? All right. The third grade team at Lincoln would like to recognize Laura as one of our top Tigers. Laura exemplifies Black Tiger pride each and every day. She is very respectful of her teachers as well as other students and does a great job of being responsible for herself and her materials. Laura is an excellent role model for her peers. She is always willing to help her classmates and is a good friend to many. Laura works hard both in school and out of school. She enjoys drawing in her free time and loves to play board games with her family. Fun. We can always count on Laura to make good choices, look out for others, and do her very best. We are thrilled to be able to recognize Laura as one of our top Tigers. Congratulations, Laura. Moving on to Preston, we have Alice Slavens. Alice? All right, Alice is new to Preston this year, but it did not take her long to show her Black Tiger pride. Alice comes ready for school each and every day and works hard on many tasks that come along, on any task that comes along. She is a very responsible young lady and can be counted on to always be setting a good example to her fellow classmates. She is kind to everyone and can be found helping different students with whatever they may need. Whatever it is, if there is a hard problem in class or maybe they need a friend, Alice is there to lend a hand. Congratulations, Alice, you are truly a top Tiger. Next, Alice, if you want to head to the back, there you go. We have Gavin Yarich. Gavin? Hi, Gavin. How you doing? Okay. Gavin was chosen as a top Tiger for many reasons. He models the kind of student every teacher wants filling up their classrooms. He is a steady and committed student day in and day out. He is organized, another one who's organized, I love it, coming from someone who loves organization, and follows through with his work. His open and positive attitude has set a good example to his classmates of what it means to be a leader. He is willing to challenge himself with his learning and does not give up on a task, no matter how difficult. In addition to his approach to learning, Gavin is a kind and compassionate young man and is always willing to help those around him. For all these reasons and more, Gavin was chosen as a top Tiger. We're going to send you to the back too there, Gavin. Keep walking. All right. Moving on to Price. We have Brisha Demal. Brisha. Brisha truly exhibits every quality of what it means to be a Black Tiger. She is eager to learn and continues to excel in every task that she is given. She thrives as both a reader and a math student. Whether she is being immersed in the characters of a book or with numbers, she is always happy. Brisha is a student that enjoys a challenge and holds herself at the highest standards socially and academically. Often she will share that she is busy studying all night, which just shows the effort she puts into her schoolwork every day. Her teacher this year states that being her third grade teacher has been an honor, and I am excited to see her continued growth this school year. Congrats, Brisha, I am so proud of you. All right, next we have Silas Suba. Silas? Silas is quite the independent learner. He loves to search out information on any number of subjects from chemistry to mythology, whoa, and then shares it with others. If you want to learn something new each day, just speak with Silas. Silas has a positive attitude about school. He does quality work on independent assignments, as well as works cooperatively with classmates on joint activities. In addition, he demonstrates respect for adults and classmates each day. Silas is a remarkable young man who is very deserving of this top Tiger honor. Congratulations. Richardson. And we have Lucas Carter. All right, Lucas. Lucas is an exceptional second grade student at Richardson Elementary School. He demonstrates Black Tiger pride every day. He takes his responsibility very seriously. Lucas listens to classroom lessons attentively, participates often, shares creative ideas, and works hard to complete his work in a timely manner. You can often find Lucas silent reading if he finishes his work early, as he loves to explore new books. As a diligent student, if Lucas finds a new concept challenging, he often asks for extra problems to practice. One of Lucas's greatest accomplishments this year occurred at home as he learned how to cook scrambled eggs all by himself. Wow. Can you do that for me someday, maybe? We'll try it out. I'll come over to Richardson. All right. Our Black Tiger family certainly is lucky to have Lucas Carter as part of our school. And Lucas, I want to tell both of you something. Lucas, his name is Lucas, and Lucas, his name is Lucas, and he spells it with a K, and you spell it with a K. So there you go. Never find that, Lucas. All right. All right. Next we have Zoe Riggins. Zoe? Zoe is a wonderful addition to Miss Alexander's classroom and school community. She comes to school each day focused on her learning. Zoe is always ready to give her best, whether it's in the classroom or while running cross country. You run cross country? Okay, I thought maybe I thought it was running across the country, and that would be really a feat. Then we would really be recognizing something. All right, Zoe is a patient and compassionate friend. She is always willing to help others inside and outside of the classroom. Zoe demonstrates her leadership skills as she is welcoming and inclusive towards others. Congratulations, Zoe. We are so proud of you. I can barely run across the parking lot. All right. Lastly, for our elementary schools, we have Silver Lake. Silver Lake. Ready? Gray Bonds. Where's Gray? Exemplifies Black Tiger pride. He is a leader in the classroom and is an absolute joy to teach. He demonstrates Black Tiger pride qualities every day at school. He knows how to be respectful towards teachers and students alike. Gray always conducts himself in a responsible and kind manner. He comes to school prepared, ready to learn, and is rarely absent. Gray always practices safety in everything he does. He is also thoughtful and conscientious. Gray has made outstanding academic growth this school year and strives to be better by setting high goals and identifying strategies to meet those goals. Gray rarely has a grade lower than an A and learns quickly. In addition to all of this, Gray is achieving above grade level in reading and math. Throughout this school year, Gray has demonstrated responsibility, flexibility, knowledge, and determination that is far beyond his years. We are lucky and proud to have Gray at Silver Lake School, and the future is very bright for him. We have another commonality, except not spelled the same. Are you ready, Ms. Schaefer? I'm ready. Okay. Kira Schaefer. We'll have to get her tomorrow. All right. What Schaefer? Yeah. All right. You can deliver it to her. All right. Well, we'll read about Kira. Kira has established herself as a kind and caring student. She is dedicated to working hard in the classroom every day. Kira also exhibits all the qualities of Black Tiger pride. She is respectful to her teachers and peers, shows responsibility, and she completes her work with a high level of quality and practices safety as she learns and plays at school. Mrs. Balin says, overall, her commitment to learning is inspirational to her peers, and it is a pleasure to have her in my classroom. Congratulations.
You can come grab it, Mr. Dolka.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry.
All right, we're moving on to those big kids. We're moving on up. Ready? All right, we have Bolick Middle School. Abigail Mays. Abigail. Abigail is an 8th grade student at Bullock Middle School that has a bright future. She is a hardworking young lady that is kind, compassionate, and has an intuitive understanding about how other people are feeling. She has demonstrated her ability to be a good friend while making good choices and being a social leader. Abigail demonstrates respect by always talking politely to her peers and adults and taking the time to build trusting relationships with others. She shows her responsibility by completing work on time, being well prepared for class, and positively engaging in class. Abigail follows school rules and makes good social choices which show her commitment to helping create a safe learning environment when she is at school. Abigail will be successful next year in high school. Mrs. Walter and Mrs. Tucker are confident she will make a great life for herself in the future. Good luck, Abby. All right, next we have Max Wilcoxon. Max is a kind young man that has a bright future. His fun-loving attitude will take him far in life. Max is a student that truly has experienced the middle school growing pains of figuring out friends, school, and who you are as a person. He has come out in a great place. He has matured so much during his time at Bullock. He has learned the value of hard work, helping others, and how to be a good human. Max demonstrates Black Tiger pride in a variety of ways. He shows how to be respectful by building positive relationships with adults and peers that are fun. So you don't like the ones that aren't fun? I'm not in that category. He connects with others in a positive way that allows people to be themselves. This is extra challenging in middle school. He demonstrates responsibility with the huge improvements to his commitment to his grades and learning. He also has started to see the need to balance sports and academics to help him to be a better Black Tiger. Max demonstrates safety by following the rules in school and during sports. There are many people at Bullock that know Max has a bright future. Mrs. Walter and Mrs. Tucker hope that being Top Tiger can help him truly understand what a great kid he is. Good luck at high school next year, Max. Bullock will miss you. All right, moving on to Roberts Middle School, we have Brynlee Hume. According to Mrs. Mays, Brynlee is a sweet, humble young lady who is extremely well-mannered. She is always on task in class and takes responsibility for her learning. We love watching her show on Daily. Is that the name of the, are you on the PA, or what's that? What's the show on Daily? What does that mean? You know? All right, well, we're gonna have to find out. I'm gonna have to ask that question. Do you have daily announcements at Roberts? Okay, I think that's what they mean. Okay. Because they said they enjoy watching it and what it means to be a Top Tiger by being respectful to both staff and students on a daily basis. Brynlee makes Roberts a better place, and we are grateful for her positive impact. She is our Top Tiger. All right, next we have Jenna Mustafa. Jenna? All right, we'll get her things. What we'll read about Jenna. Jenna is just a fantastic example of what we want all of our kids to be. She is kind, hardworking, and determined to make a difference. Jenna comes to school every day ready to do what is necessary to ensure she has had a positive impact on everyone around her. According to Ms. Sabato, she is the highlight of her day, and it is easy to see why. Thank you, Jenna, for being such a positive role model for our school. We love that you are our Top Tiger. All right, now for the really big kids. Sometimes they come up here and they're taller than me. So let's see. Let's see what we have this evening. Kirsten Fulkerson? No? Not her. I guess we'll never know if she's taller than me. I'll have to find out. Is she taller than me, Miss? I don't think so. No? Oh, just curious. All right, well, Kirsten is a responsible student who comes to class with a positive attitude every day. She is willing to help whenever needed, should she be asked or on her own. Kirsten is part of Tiger Crew, GSA, and keeps statistics for the wrestling team. Her hobbies include painting, working on cars, and video games. She currently works as a medical office assistant at Western Reserve Hospital Center for Pain. Kirsten has been a member of the Medical Office and Business Management Career Program her junior and now senior year. Her plans after graduation are to attend Stark State University to pursue a nursing degree and work as a registered nurse. Nice. Christine then plans to further her education at the University of Akron for a BSN in nursing. Excellent. All right, and lastly, we have Ryan McCambridge. Ryan, hi, why didn't you tell me this? You can't just spring this on me. Should I tell them? Okay. So Ryan is one of my graduate guardians. So that probably means nothing to a lot of you, but I have to keep an eye on this kid. And I really don't have to do much work apparently because he's here this evening and he's not showing up. Well, you probably find out after we had our meeting. So, right? I think so. Okay. Well, I know firsthand that Ryan is such a nice young man. First time I met him, just very polite, well-mannered. We had a great conversation. So Ryan, let's read about you. All right, Ryan is a responsible student who comes to class with a positive attitude every day. He demonstrates great leadership, helping out when needed, paying attention to detail, and planning events and activities. Ryan enjoys playing baseball for Cuyahoga Falls High School, as well as playing in a summer league. Some of his other hobbies include working out, I could tell, reading, and working on cars in his spare time. He has volunteered at the firehouse, his local church, and soup kitchens. That's great. Ryan has been working at Dairy Queen for over a year, and he enjoys the casual, positive environment. Ryan plans to attend college after graduation at Stark State College. His dream job would be to work for the CDC as a well, I know you want to study viruses. That's all I know. I don't know. Virology. Is that really a word? Okay. All right. That's a great goal. I don't know what it is, but it's great. All right. Well, before we take our group photo, I just want to take a moment to again, recognize all of our students. You can see the themes that emerge. There are a lot of commonalities about our students that are such great, wonderful things and attributes that our children bring to school each day. And you as parents, as guardians, as grandparents, aunts, uncles, have obviously done your job as well. So let's have a round of applause for all of you. All right, so at this time, if we could just be patient, what I'd like is for the students, if you could please head back there. And, Ms. Shaw, if you want to head back there as well, but we're going to get a picture with all of you, and the board members are going to come join you for some photos. So thank you again. So we'll head to back.
Good.
Hey, Ms. Tucker, you have your student stuff?
So that's a wrap.
Is it Jenna? I have Jenna.
She's gonna grab the Robert's watch.
Oh, you got Jenna over there. And you have what you need, Ms. Tucker?
She was gonna grab the Robert's one, but then Amanda grabbed it in a second.
Not for a while.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say, I think you're down the way.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of like real lengthy stuff tonight.
I'm trying to get used to wearing these stupid glasses. I mean, these glasses.
Are you supposed to wear them all the time?
Had them for 3 years.
Gary, oh, no.
But my vision isn't that bad.
Good job, Dustin.
Reading. For clothes.
Just get readers.
They're bifocals.
You lost your children's, Trish. I swear I saw them come in with.
What'd you guys do?
I was like, I swear they were here when you came in.
This would normally happen.
Yep, you're not a clear room.
I'm just like, well, at least maybe I'll get out of bedtime.
Oh, yeah, it's off.
I've been with them all day.
Don't
Smart move.
watch your limbs. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Oh, there goes it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, ready to roll?
Here we are.
Okay, we are ready for item E, Treasurer CFO's business consent agenda, Ms. Stoykoy.
Thank you. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just highlighting some of the donations. We have 3 of them. United States Bowling Congress, Dairy Queen, and the Sons of American Legion. So, always thankful for those.
Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Okay. Item F, Treasurer CFO's business, Ms. Stoykoy.
I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the December 2023, that says January, I should say December, 2023 investment schedule and monthly spending report.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Ms. Stoykoy?
Yes. So if we look at interest for the month here, exciting stuff. It pulled up way faster than mine.
Oh.
Blow it up for me. There you go. Scroll down. All the way. There you go. All right, so you see we have the best month yet so far here, this fiscal year at almost 130,000. We, in our general account for Star Ohio, you can see it was 46,000 and some good return there on some of our building funds, our LFI, our local share accounts, and even on our state share, which doesn't have a whole lot of money in it because it's more of a reimbursement basis, but we did well. So we're over $500,000 this year, and all those funds, obviously, some of them are specified use, but something that is certainly needed in some of those areas. So that's very good. The next one, we can look at general fund. I'm gonna have to blow this up because my stuff's not doing that. So, again, December is a very similar month to November and what you'll see in January. You can see we're right in line with where we were the past 2 years. Expenditures are also right in line with previous years, similar to November. So we have a negative result of operations, which is typical for December. And so that brings us to our final cash balance of a little over 20 million, which is still about a little over 3 million better than we were last year at this time, and about a little over 7 million than 2 years ago. So still in a good position, but obviously these are down months. We'll see kind of one more of those before February starts some of our advancement on our real estate taxes. And then we can look at food service. All right, so you can see in November we kind of missed our, we didn't miss, but it was just the timing of the payment for the reimbursement from the federal government, so we received it more in December, and then, continuing, sometimes it just depends on when the month ends and then when they get it and actually reimburse that stuff to us for our free and reduced. Expenditures, if I remember correctly, very similar, to where we were at before. Obviously a little increase from previous years just because, of inflation and the cost of some things, and we've had to go outside of our, typical, government entities and things like that to get some things just because of not only inflation but supply chain issues. And so they may not have things at certain places at the prices that we're accustomed to, and we kind of have to go outside of that, and pay a little more in order to get the stuff that we need. So positive there, and then so that ends us at 715,000 there for the year. So still in a good spot, but you can see it was kind of trending down, which I anticipated to trend down a little bit just because of the, our expenses have stayed the same and if not increased, which they have this year from last year. And we're obviously not getting the revenue that we received last year when every student was free from breakfast and lunch. So we're still in a good spot currently. I don't anticipate that we're going to stay at 715,000 forever. You can see where we started in July and where we're at the halfway point, is down almost 150,000.
Well, it's hard to compare to the last 2 years because of how different they were.
Yep.
So
Yep.
those trends aren't really, easy to follow.
Right, yes. So, and then I think that's it. Everything else is running smoothly, and athletics is same. They're in the same boat, still about the same as they have been, and we're just now starting to really get some activity in our construction funds now that some actual work has been done and the demo of Newberry. But it's not a ton yet. I would say within the last month, this month, we've made some payments that are larger in nature that we'll start seeing hit those reports. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments? Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye. Thank you. Item 2, your comments?
Well, this weather is not what I had in Florida last week, so that's a bummer. I was in shorts last week, but I appreciate being able to take the time off. My mother was surprised, and I enjoyed my time in the villages. It is everything I thought it would be and more.
Did you get to drive a golf cart?
I didn't drive one. I was a passenger in a golf cart, but I didn't drive one. But there is a golf cart precision drill team. I didn't get to see that. I didn't find it in the little directory.
Do they compete?
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't privy to that. I don't think
YouTube
I was
that.
Goals.
totally initiated. So
Don't
there's only
laugh,
so
that's
much
all.
I
I
know.
feel like I could.
But it was nice to take a little break, and so we're again back at it and working on getting ready, all ready for next school year now that we're past that halfway mark this year. So things are trekking along.
Sounds good. Thank you. On to item G, Superintendent CO's business consent agenda. Dr. Selka.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. I'd like to make the recommendation that the board approve the items as listed in the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
If I may, just a couple comments about what you see here. So there was some discussion with the hourly wage increase for our student workers. So I believe Mr. Fry had requested that and just trying to secure, as we know, the competing rates out there to provide for our students and give them a little incentive to work here. The non-bachelor degree subs resolution, there was one approved last year, but just as a reminder, the law has opened up and with the sub shortage of probably a few years, probably at least 3 years now, maybe 2 or 3, they've allowed folks without a degree to substitute teach, and certainly will be selective, but as we use an outside subbing agency, they are now entertaining that. And so Mr. McClure has had some conversation and some specifics about, where we would place some of these people, especially if they're young, maybe in the elementary schools, et cetera. So, but we will certainly be open to that, but to qualified people that we get a chance to see. And then lastly, the Ohio Schools Counselor is just a real simple policy change, and that's relative to our voting. We don't always get a good turnout for the Ohio Schools Council, and so it gives us just a majority vote, so just a simple thing there.
Anything from the board? Please call the roll.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Yeah, that should be the discussion. Yeah, okay. So, is it my
Uh,
turn?
Item H, superintendent's business. First up is your comments. Do you want to do
Yes.
those last?
I can do
Okay,
that.
so let's go to number 2, administrative organizational chart. And I believe you're recommending approval of the administrative organizational chart attached in the agenda effective August 1st, 2023. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We have a motion.
I'll make a motion, I'll move. I will make that motion.
Second.
Discussion.
So, as you see here, we have, I have a proposed organizational chart for, again, as Mr. Gomez says, for next year. Just having some time here in the district and getting a chance to work and see how the operations go as it relates to the district, and felt that some change was needed, and in order for our organization to move forward and for the success of the district, as well as, selfishly myself, in terms of, getting a chart or of the organizational chart that works for me and the district, and what is in the best interest of our students and our district, is what I'm recommending to you today. So there is an addition of a net add of 1 administrator, but a lot of it is actual reorganization. So it's not what you see there. It's one extra position that we're accustomed to, but also being mindful of the budget and those constraints that we will be reorganizing in other areas as well, in order to be able to make the additions that we need to be successful. So those are the ones that I am proposing today. And then just to add, the coinciding job descriptions are in number 3. So you would also asking for your approval of those job descriptions that coincide with the assistant superintendent and the directors, and I believe the coordinator of curriculum, and there may be more to come, but that's where we would like to start. So that's what I'm recommending.
Comments or questions from the board on the organizational chart itself?
Okay.
I have the one question that I warned you to ask, is why do you believe that this will benefit our students and families?
Well, I think one is efficiency. If we want and we do, and I do, want, good customer service for our parents and our students, we need to have people that are in charge of various areas, which we have people in charge of certain areas, but just not, in my opinion, not organized in a fashion that is as efficient and that will address the needs of our students and staff. So generally, when you make positions that are administrative, certainly we're not a direct line to students, but we certainly indirectly affect our students, because we are making a lot of big decisions. No matter where you are in that chart, you're making a lot of big decisions that impact our children. And so I believe this is going to set us up to really have a critical eye on teaching and learning, on supporting our principals, and paying attention to other areas like social emotional supports. And our staff does a great job of trying to juggle all of that, but there's a lot there that is easy to miss without other supports in place.
Thank you. Yeah. Please call the roll.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
And then we have corresponding job descriptions.
Yes. recommend approval of those.
We have a motion to approve the job descriptions as listed.
Second.
Discussion?
I had one suggestion for the job descriptions, and that was, as I was reading through them, job descriptions with his, her, and he, she. My personal recommendation would be that we change that to they, them, just to be more inclusive and in line with our, other.
And I believe we did you catch it on, we corrected the assistant superintendent, I think it was, pardon me?
I
It
caught
was,
it
it
in
was
one
on
other
almost
place.
all of them
when
in at least once,
I think
somewhere in the description.
It was somewhere deep in there
Yeah, it's almost, I think on the last page of each description.
when it says superintendent and then his or her designee.
Okay.
And it's like
Yeah.
real deep in here, when I was doing my last read through
Page 4.
today.
We can easily
I
do a
saw
search for those pronouns.
Yeah.
And then
Probably,
correct
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause we did correct some, but
That's fine.
we might not have hit them.
Right, I think it's the very last on the back of all of them. I have them circled right above the last paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're all fine with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree with that.
And if I may, my intention would be to post for the assistant superintendent tomorrow. And then after that position is filled, to post the director positions, shortly after that. And then moving along in the chart, and then if we have any building level vacancies, those would come later.
I don't know if this is gonna come out as a question or comment, so we'll see where it lands. Cause I don't wanna say it's a question, cause I don't know if that's how, but just because the one thing that's really different is this director of student services. So I was just, I was doing a lot of effort, that's the one I read the most, I think, cause I was really trying to make sure that I understood what it was. But, couple of things. One, I like that we have a different person doing IEPs and 504s. I understand, sometimes people on 504 come onto IEPs, and so they'll be obviously working together in those situations. But it's something I've heard from a lot of families, and just like not knowing who to talk to, and I think it just makes it really clear of who the people are that you talk to if you've reached the end of all your frustrations. Perhaps if you're a parent that's gone through all the processing, you're still really frustrated, it's very clear of who it is that you talk to before you go to a superintendent. So I appreciate that. I appreciate there's different people doing that work, because I think having one person do it all is so much to oversee all that. So that's something I really appreciated. And then another thing I really appreciated in the director of student services, which you won't be surprised, I appreciate it, but it's as one of the things that they are required to do is proactively engage families as partners in student learning by developing and implementing K-12 systems for engaging in regular two-way communication, family conferences, family involvement activities, shared learning strategies, etc. I know that's something as a board that's been a strong priority of ours. So to see that is going to become part of someone's job, whoever it is that becomes the person that does that job, I really appreciate it as well. And then this is a question, and it's not related to approving the jobs, but as I was reading through all of these, it talked about required knowledge, skills, and abilities, and it talked that they have to have knowledge of best practice pedagogy, or pedagogy, however you say it. Okay. And knowledge of the core competence of instructional leadership. And I thought we should have asked those when we were interviewing you to be superintendent, because now I want to know what your answer to those are. So when you have time in the future, would you share with the board what your answers to those are? Because I'm kind of interested, not right now because people are going to listen and then they're just going to tell you that when you're interviewing them. And I don't want that either. But I was like, oh, I really wonder what is she, as Dr. Selko's interviewing people for these positions, as a board member, I'm interested in hearing what it is that you're looking for in those two areas. I can send you an email as well if you want.
I got you.
But that just struck me. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder what Dr. Selico would say are those things.
I don't
So.
know, maybe that would be a surprise too. Got it.
That's all I had. Anything else from the board? Okay. Anything else, Dr. Selico? Okay. Ms. Stoiko, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 4 is OFCC Safety Grant Design Contract, and Superintendent is recommending that the board approves the OFCC Safety Grant Design Contract. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
You want to say something?
Actually, I was going to
Comment
defer
from
to, yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Hunt.
You want me to go over to the microphone? I have a microphone here, I guess, for recording, so whatever you like. I sent a pretty detailed Friday notes version of that, so you would have the 30,000 foot view of what we're doing. So the grant's big, it's a $900,000 grant. And with that, it's federally tied, so there are pretty significant federal purchasing guidelines, especially for projects over 50,000, which pretty much every one of our projects will be over 50,000. So I've done some preliminary quoting with vendors, and it's very clear we need a well-designed scope of work. This is exactly what we're going to do, and how it needs to be designed, where things are going to go, and what are the bid requirements, what are the drawings. We need detailed expectations of what we're going. I'm understanding that more now after working through the building project, but we need to know exactly what we want, articulate that to bidders or to vendors so they can bid on our work. And that does two things. A, gives us what we want, and drives down the price. The quotes I get are so wildly disparate. I mean, it just makes me wonder how can you look at the same problem and use such different pricing? So the bid process is going to allow us to design the project and then get exactly what we want and bid, and hopefully you'll be able to afford it all. So that will be the next piece. So we don't have the skill set in-house to do that. That is too complex of a work for us. And the major projects we want to do are PAs at the elementary schools. We want to do security camera augmentation improvements. I'd like our elementary schools to be as well equipped with cameras as our new school will be. So I would like even if our buildings aren't brand new, they're at modern standards for cameras and surveillance security. Then I really need to make sure that across the district, when we open the new building, we have one access control key fob system that drives the whole district. And that will probably require retrofitting the existing buildings. But we don't want staff to have two key fobs, we don't want to manage two systems. And we have a lot of additions we would like to add at many of the elementary schools for key fob locations. And that will easily exhaust the grant funds. There's an additional wrench in this project, which makes it kind of fun. The stipulation is the equipment has to be in service for 5 years. That's great for 7 of our schools. But we have 2 that will not exist in 5 years. And I'm really trying to get creative on ways to spend that money. We have the money, it's allocated, but I can't in good faith spend it if we're not going to follow through with the grant. So my aha moment was environmental sensors, also known as perhaps vape detectors, but they detect more than vape. They detect temperature, air quality, loud noises, intrusion. We can add those to, it is my understanding, we can add those to Bolick and the high school and expend our grant money, and Roberts as well, then move that equipment to the new high school, and the new 612 school will be open. We don't currently have a design for vape in that building, but we will pre-wire for vape if this is approved, and then just move that equipment over to satisfy the life cycle of the grant and be able to expend a little bit more of our funds, try to get to the maximum expenditure. So that's what we're doing. The next question is why did we choose who we chose? And BCL is the technology designer for our building project. And that is really important. We looked at 2 different vendors. They are not the cheapest. They are about $5,500 more expensive. But when you look at the proposals between the 2, one is a paragraph and one is many pages. BCL has done over 250 OFCC construction projects. They helped write the OFCC design. They've been doing this for 30 years. They know our district, they know our team, they know our architects, they know our administration. It's worth it in my mind to know what we're getting spelled out explicitly. And they also added in their contract, they indicate with no secrecy they intend to bid. This is the scope of the scale of work that they actually like to do themselves. If they're the winning bidder, they'll credit back the design costs to the project.
And they're also the safety hopefully I'm saying, the safety design component
Yes.
for the new building as
That's
well,
correct,
so.
Yep. So they understand exactly what we need and want, we can help write our specifications to meet that, and that's really important. So we are sure that the new building and the old buildings will interface really well.
Any questions or comments from the board? I have two. One is I really appreciated when you put it in as a percentage of the grant,
Yeah.
because that helped put it in perspective for me, so I wanted to thank you for that. That's 1.95%. When you look at it that way, you're like, oh, that's, you know, a very small portion of the grant to make sure that we're meeting everything we have to not then have to, you know, have this grant money taken away and then have to pay $1 million out of our.
Well, and we may have to
General
decide
fund.
as a district, these bids may come in, and we may not be able to do everything we want to do without either bringing additional local fund effort or compromising.
Yeah.
But we'll at least know, we'll
Yeah.
have good estimates to know.
And then my other question was, once we approve this contract tonight, hopefully, most likely, when would we know, like, a timeline?
So I sent you in a
things
previous
going forward.
version of the Friday notes, tentative timeline.
Mhm.
I can find it in email
Okay.
when we get in this Friday's notes. It's pretty hasty, I wanna move.
Yeah.
We need to get things going. Our goal is to bid kind of in coinciding with when we know who the manufacturers will be for the new project. And that
Okay.
will be probably March, April.
Mm-hmm.
So then we wanna roll. Lead times are big, so we need the drawings and move forward. So, but I can give you the timeline I projected.
Okay. And that would probably be when we wanna do like really push the information out to parents as well.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really interesting to know how much it costs.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, in talking with them in preliminary design, I told them what I wanted. They suggested I might be a little bit
Mm-hmm.
out of my league, but maybe not. We'll see. We'll just have to see. But those are the three areas we really wanna go for.
Well, and I think too, it's important that I don't wanna push it out to our families and then say, oh, it could be a year before it actually gets put in,
Yeah.
because I don't think that sends the right message
Yeah.
either. Like,
And-
obviously it's public information we're talking about at a board
Yeah.
meeting, but to like actively push information to our families and then say, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
it's probably not gonna happen maybe for a year because you know,
Well, so the time we must be under contract for installation by December, a year from December 2023. Installation must be complete entirely by September 24. So it'll move much faster than the building.
yeah, okay. That was everything. I appreciate the information though.
Yes.
I think, you know,
Thank you.
safety is very important, so it's good to spend some time understanding it. Good. Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Thank you. And then back to, your comments, Dr. Salko.
Thank you. Well, first I want to know why Miss Carlisle changed her seat. Were the administrators back there, were you making a good choice of seating, or were they misbehaving?
I couldn't see.
Oh.
Somebody using railing,
It looked a little suspicious, and knowing who's back there, I mean, I just thought I'd ask. Just asking that question. Okay. Making a good choice, maybe, Miss Carlisle? Okay.
She's showing her black tiger.
All right. Yeah, so I just want to, I know they're all gone, but congratulate the top Tigers this evening and Chris Shaw, who's well deserving of that award as well. She is a hard worker and gets me information as quickly as I can ask for it, so appreciate that. I wanted to pose to the board, and I'll give you some more information this Friday, but we had mentioned this a while back, a couple of you had mentioned it to me, and I think it's about time that we do it, which is when I'm on my building visits, if some of you would like to join me, I know a couple of you have expressed that interest, so I'll be glad to have you come along. I know there's some principals here that'll get the preview, so I will give you a schedule of when I'm going, and then if you would like to join me, just let me know, so that's coming. Also, we have the one-act play this weekend. I'm gonna try to go Friday evening. And a number of us took part in this threat assessment training a couple weeks ago, and it was very, very interesting, very well done. I mean, it's not often that you get a training that you really enjoy the whole day of. I mean, it was well done, and so our team slowly, we had a number of actually teachers and administrators that attended, and we'll have more as time progresses, and that is part of our strategic plan as well. And then just wanted to mention that it's Black History Month is coming up. We had Martin Luther King Jr. Day and celebration of him and all the wonderful things that he's done and the impact he's made in our world. And asked the principals to share with me what they'll be doing for Black History Month, and gave them some suggestions of things that they can do to celebrate as well, and be glad to assist them if there's anything that I can do to help, but they have some good ideas already brewing, so I'm excited for that. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. On to item I, board business. Number 1 is policies for first read. We have 2 policies for first read, policy ECA, buildings and ground security, and policy ECA-R, buildings and ground security. These relate to what we did at our work session last week, and I think Mr. Jones also gave you a hard copy as well. So if you want to review that, and then they would be up for approval at our meeting on February 8th. Okay. Thank you. Item 2 is a policy for approval or an adoption. It's recommended the Board of Education approve and adopt the following policy, which was reviewed at the January 11th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. It's policy GCPA, reduction in professional staff workforce.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Let me get the thing. As provided under Ohio Revised Code, Section 33.19.171C, this policy was developed with input from the district administrative staff, and the board has reviewed all written input that was provided to us in advance of approving the policy this evening. Please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye. Thank you. Item 3 is a discussion on school meals. Dr. Selko, do you want to start?
Sure. Principals have been part of these too, so we're going to talk more about school meals, and there's it's just not an easy topic, and there's not an easy answer. And so Mr. Bailey is here this evening to answer some of your questions that we had circulating, and essentially just to set the stage, and I'll turn it over to you, and questions for Bill. But the dilemma we're having right now is we know that we no longer have free meals for our students, and our children have grown accustomed to that, and families have grown accustomed for the last couple of years in receiving those free meals. And now that we've stopped doing that, and again, the reason being is the funds have been cut off, is that we're struggling to find a balance in which some students are not paying for their meals, and so we have some really high balances. And I have been saying, as well as our whole administrative team agrees, that we want all of our children fed and that no one will go hungry. The challenge is, what do we do with that growing deficit? Is it something we can afford to continue to do? Is there something we can do in the meantime? We've tried a number of strategies, and Bill will talk to you about those this evening. We're sensitive to children being treated differently, and lunch shaming if I don't have lunch money, or I'm getting a sandwich and a cheese stick or something that looks different than the rest of the children. So there's a variety of issues in play here, and we would like the board's input as to how you would like us to proceed. So getting some more of those details and questions that you would like answered, I think now's a good time to do that. And then if we could have some direction moving forward, I know Bill has worked really hard and would probably like some direction that we can go in. So I don't know, Mr. Gomez, if you want the board to pose questions, or if you'd like Bill to present a little information. He's prepared with some things I asked him to talk about.
Chef Bill go first.
Chef Bill. You just have to go somewhere that has a microphone to record you. Thanks for coming tonight, Chef Bill. We appreciate it.
Thank you for
Yeah,
being
came on short notice. and so thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we appreciate how well run your department is. We go down to Capitol Conference every year. I think I mentioned this to you when I saw you afterward. They're always trying to harass us and saying, "Don't you want to privatize? Nobody can make money on their food, so everyone's." And I was like, You should look up our financial reports. They're posted. You should see what we're doing in our food service. So we do appreciate how well run our food service program is by
Thank
you.
you. So, I know Dr. Selico mentioned a few things that I'm gonna touch on here, but for the past 2 years, our students and families have benefited from free meals from the USDA. This school year, USDA has ended that free meal program for all the students. This left us with a few challenges. Some of our families, they're either not applying for the free and reduced lunch program, or they're not reapplying. And then some of our families are just not adding money to their accounts. So that left us with some challenges in our department here. And I just wanted to mention a few things that we're doing. We, first and foremost, we are feeding all of our students that come into the lunch and breakfast line. We're not turning any student away. We're feeding everybody. Like Dr. Selico mentioned, it's the lunch of the day. It's not a, we used to serve emergency lunch, as we call them. It's not anything like that. So we are feeding all of our students. Our kitchen supervisors and cafeteria managers are sending building principals a list of students that have a negative balance of $15 or more. And with the help of principals, building secretaries, counselors, they are contacting the families. I know some buildings are having a little bit of challenge contacting them or getting any kind of response, so there's some challenges there. And as of October 31st, I've been sending out my Wednesday low balance all calls. You've been getting them, everybody on the call list. And then along with that, we found a negative balance email that I've been sending out. And I started sending it out on Fridays, but it also goes out on Wednesday also. So anybody with a negative balance is kind of getting a double whammy of an all call from me. And then also the Treasurer's Department, they're adding a balance of the lunch account to the fee letters that are going out. So they're getting notified that way. Pay Schools, our online software, has a system to find families that have started an application but have not finished it. So we're going in, my secretary, Hope Jones, is going in, and she's contacting these families and calling them and asking if we can help complete the applications. And that's been a big help too with getting some of this, some of our families on the free and reduced program, or at least getting the application filled out for them. Right before break, I started calling. I got the list of the high negative balances, and I started calling some of those families, and I'm going to start up again here in a couple days of the ones with the real high negative balances to see if we can get any response from them. I didn't get any. I mean, I got a few responses, but it was either voicemail. I did get in contact with a few parents that said they'd pay, and after reviewing it, they didn't pay, so I have to revisit, follow up with another phone call with them. But these are, again, high balance. I'm talking $65 or more. So.
I think the highest bill was 85 that I saw.
Yeah. Well, and we can go over that.
Well, that's
So, okay. Is it listed as 1 and 2? Can you go to spreadsheet 1? So this spreadsheet here is a spreadsheet from August to December, and you got a copy of it there. And so what we did here is from August to December, we had, yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
When the balances were listed, are they individual? Like if I had a sibling, they'd be separate, or are they combined ever?
No, those
One,
were
it's
individual
individuals,
students.
correct?
Yeah.
So, did you find that any of them had siblings that also had high, or are they all?
Yes, no,
Okay.
they had
If one,
siblings
then,
also.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So this one is I'm calling this our emergency lunch, our emergency lunch cost sheet. So we found out when we were giving the emergency lunch out, it was a zero cost because we were pushing a button and we weren't charging the students. And then Hope, with her accounting abilities, going, hey, wait a minute, we still have a cost here. And I said, well, okay, what's the revenue? So when you're looking at this, this is lost revenue of all the emergency lunches that we gave away from August to December. And Joe Bugatti mentioned that he wanted to see this, he wanted to see all the cost involved in the negative lunch balances. So we had to add this in. And then as of January 4th, we got rid of the emergency lunch button, and we're charging all the families for all the meals that they receive. So we don't have a student charge. You can't. I mean, we're charging you for everything, but there's not like a limit. Yes.
When you say revenue, so would that be what we would have gotten for a full lunch, then minus what we would have paid to make the emergency lunch?
No.
What's just how much the emergency lunch costs?
Yeah, there really isn't a cost difference between emergency lunch and because it's not like we were just giving them a cheese stick. We were giving them a reimbursable lunch.
Okay.
Even if it was, Uncrustable, which is actually one of the higher costing items on our menu. So it's still something that is a cost of about anywhere from $1.70 to $2 our cost. That doesn't include the that's just food cost. It's not labor cost and stuff.
Are these numbers associated with like a student account?
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, can you go to just that DW? Just click on that. So these are individual students.
Okay.
And I apologize. I didn't have enough time to separate. I was going to do lowest to highest. The other sheet we can do that, but you can see that where he's highlighted that number 19. That's 19 meals, and for this particular student, it's a 40 cents. So it's a reduced lunch. So even our reduced students are having trouble getting meals on their money on their account. So so that's what that column is. It's all the meals that they received from, again, the August through December. And then I'll go over the other list here in a minute. And then if you go back to total cost, right there. Well, yeah, if you want to look at like some of the other ones we can. But and again, it's at breakfast and lunch. Any other questions on this?
So you said January is when we started we're just charging them. We keep charging them.
Yeah.
So have a lot of these high balances come since the beginning of January, or were some of those from before?
Well, we'll see another, and I brought a total sheet, so I could show you like a breakdown for each month. And then talking with Chris Shaw, because she's real good at data, I was trying to figure out how can we capture to see if any of these students are paying attention to my all-call. Has anybody,
I was going to ask you that.
and the only way to do that is take my all-call from this week and then go
snapshot it.
Yeah, snapshot it. Yes, exactly. Chris Shaw's words too. So take a snapshot, because I was trying to figure that out. I was like, because it changes. I mean, it's a moving balance. Not this one, because again, we shut this one down, and that number won't change there. I'll show you another number that will change though. Okay.
In the email that goes out, is there like a clickable link that could take you directly to adding money to the account?
Well, not in, no, there's no way to do it in that email that I have.
Well, you know what?
Let me check. I believe there is a way to do that.
Okay.
That's a
Or
great
like
idea.
a QR
Yeah.
code
Could
or
be convenient,
something,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
both,
Be able to add a link to, at least to
Yeah.
pay school,
to pay school. It doesn't have to be to their direct
Right.
account.
Right.
that's a good idea.
Okay,
The easier the better,
Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
I agree.
unless people have to touch you.
Okay, any more questions on the emergency lunch balance? Okay, so if you can go
Can I
to
interrupt one time? So,
the,
anyone who's
Yes.
getting that low balance is already signed up for Pay Schools, because it's an email that's derived from Pay Schools. So you have to be registered and already have yourself set up in an email in order to get that notification.
So they could just click it to go right to pay.
I mean, so I'm looking here real quick, but, so all these people are already signed up that are getting this email. Doesn't mean it's covering everybody, because there's a possibility that there are people that are still bringing in money and not using online. But it's an email that is being sent from Pay Schools to the email they have on file as their login or contact information in Pay Schools. And I think it may have the link to it already.
well, we kind of can customize it, and I don't, yeah, I'll look at it though. I'll make sure it does.
I'll look for it.
Is there a
Okay.
fee associated from adding money through Pay School online versus bringing the money into the school?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But for lunches, it's not as much as it is for, let's say, if you want to pay your fees or any of those other things online. For food, I have it.
So for convenience, we have Pay Schools for all the fees and lunches and things like that. But if I were super cheap and I wanted to just pay minimum what I had to pay, I could just walk into the school or send my child into the school to pay that
Yep.
without fees. Okay.
I'll look up, I'll get that.
Because there is very much like a dichotomy, because there's, you know, a lot of people that are like $1 or less, you know, where it seems like, okay, that's a oops, that I would hope that, you know, we'll probably be caught, and that, you know, oops, I thought we had enough, you know, because there's one kid on here, and we're not looking at, for the record, we're not looking at people's names.
Correct,
For
yeah.
people that aren't looking at what we're looking at. But, you know, there's one family at Richardson that's 5 cents
Yeah,
over.
correct.
Like, you know, like that's a oops. But
Right.
then some of these people that are like
That's,
$50, there's a lot of,
Yeah.
there's, you know, people 50 and over. And like that's, you know, so it's like, it's almost like two separate realms of people.
yes, yeah. Ryan, can I get the other spreadsheet, please?
So making sure everyone gets at least signed up for Pay School would be like a step, like.
You'd
Well,
still
that's
get the,
everybody,
they'd
right.
still be able to, even if you don't wanna pay online, you can still see what your child is eating, you can still get all that record, and you will get notifications then if their balance is low and you need to send in more money. It doesn't mean you have to use Pay Schools to make that payment.
So that's a resource that parents just aren't necessarily taking advantage of because they think, well, they're gonna charge me money or other
Correct,
reasons.
yes.
So it actually is a resource that they could use for free.
Yeah, they could just use it for literal viewing purposes of
Okay.
what their child is purchasing.
I confirmed
I
that
can-
my child was eating 2 breakfasts a day, eating at home and then going in and having a second
So
breakfast.
I have like
just
auto
so she
for
could
my
talk to
children,
Miss Marguerite,
auto
so.
replenishment set up, and so whenever those come too quickly, because
Yeah.
it's set up to like once they go below a certain threshold, it adds a set amount of money automatically, so I don't ever have to manually go in and do it. But sometimes I get those notifications a little too quickly back to back, and I go in and I find out that they've had ice cream like for the last 12 days in a row as an addition.
All 5 of them. Imagine trying to be
Yeah.
Or they're buying cookies for their
Yes,
friends.
one time, yeah,
Yes.
it was on the house on my daughter when she was in first grade for a few things. So I'm like, sure.
They're buying around.
Yeah, they're running around
Yeah.
of ice cream.
Yeah. It's like your Starbucks card, you know.
It is, I was gonna say, it's like my Starbucks.
You can set it
All
up.
reloads.
Yeah.
I'm looking just at our letter, and I can look at yours, but ours, we do put in the link, and like the first thing we say is, you can pay by credit card online at, you know, we have that. And then we'll say you can also pay by check or cash or credit card with the secretary at your child's school.
You can pay by credit card at the school?
So you can, yes, so they'll run, it's still gonna, the secretary's still gonna run it through pay schools. And
Oh, okay,
that's
so
how they're-
you're not skipping the fee then?
They're doing it, but yes, but
Okay.
they can call in and then, like, over the phone, if for whatever reason they don't have access to a computer or anything like that, and make the payment by phone with the secretary.
Is that for lunch too? Can we do that for lunch? Okay. All right. So this balance sheet is the meal charges year to date. Okay, so we
From
turned.
Is this from January 4th?
No. This is from year to date.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from
Thank
the
you.
beginning of August.
School year date.
School
Thank
year.
you, that's
Not-
helpful.
yes.
That was one of our
Okay.
questions.
Yes, okay. So if you look at this one, this is Bullock, again, we took out names, it's just, the negative balance plus what school it is. You can see one is very high, and then it scrolls down, and then at the bottom there, you can see a balance there, so. And then your sheets that I printed,
Sorry, I'm
each-
confused about,
each sheet is one of the schools. Okay, what's your
I'm sorry,
question? Yes.
I'm sorry if you've said this 10
It's
times.
okay.
So this is from the beginning of the year.
Yes,
Were students allowed to go negative
yes.
with a regular meal at the beginning of the year?
Yes,
Okay, I
they
thought they were
can-
getting the emergency
No, well,
lunches.
once they got into the negative balance, we gave them an emergency lunch.
Were they charged for emergency
No.
lunch? So
But
if they
like I
went into the
mentioned,
negative,
Joe Bugatti wanted to see a dollar amount for all the meals served. And we weren't, because if you go back to 2019, we didn't have this big issue. And I do want to mention that all districts are having this issue.
I've read about it.
So,
So these are actual numbers, or these are what it would have been if you were
no,
charging?
these are
them?
actual numbers.
So I under,
Cause Mrs. Shaver, cause this is $10,000. This, what August to December, what it cost the district to provide these emergency meals, we're saying was $10,000.
Yes.
So when we did an emergency meal before, even though it was on to an individual student, we were charging it to like a general account, and so if you had a negative.
Zero. It was a zero account.
Well,
Yeah.
we weren't charging it to that student, we were
Right.
charging it to a regular, like just a generic meals account. And so if you had negative 15, once you got to a certain point, like you weren't gonna go past negative 15, we started charging it to this, not to you
all right,
individually
so that's why I
anymore.
was confused. I was
Yeah.
confused
And that's what that 10,000
as
is.
to why you could be a negative balance if you had no money, they were getting an emergency meal. How could they go to a negative balance because they aren't getting a meal, they're getting the emergency meal.
Right.
So I was confused at how they could be negative at that point.
So we let them go a certain,
So there was like
Amount.
a policy for, I can have so many negative.
it was it $15?
Yeah,
Like
so
Parma does, like,
I was
3
gonna get into
meals.
that part
Yeah, it
after.
was like X amount of
After this.
breakfast and lunch.
You want me to get into that part now?
Well,
I
what-
thought that was a future plan, I didn't know that was the plan it was.
And then they have, this piece is just shy of 4,000 of what actually is in families' accounts that
Okay.
That shows
I
negative
understand
to
that
the
that they actually owe the district. This, they don't technically owe us.
They don't see that.
This is just to help us understand how much this
The
was
district.
costing the district, because
I,
we were
okay.
eating this, but this is actually what's owed to the district
I
by
was confused by
families.
the process. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that they were allowed to go into the negative. And that's why I was confused with why they were in the negative. Okay, thank you.
That's the problem I'm having.
So your sheets that you have here, each sheet, this is gonna just be a running sheet, but I broke it down into sheets. So like Bullock has 300, high school has
2 pages.
Yeah.
1,600, almost $1,700. And then, you can see all the running numbers there.
And these are the actual numbers
Yeah.
from student accounts, got it.
And then again, you can see even from this, If you look at the high school, there's a really high $84.58. That's a negative balance on the student's account.
So if up until the end of December,
Yeah.
they were only allowed to go a certain amount negative, and then we weren't charging them for their meals, that would mean that the majority of these large balances are from January? Am I understanding that correctly? Of the really high negative balances?
I'd have to, that's another sheet that I'm sorry I didn't
Okay.
bring.
All right, I'm just,
You're thinking kind of how I was thinking.
Yeah, I can,
okay.
I didn't, my.
It's
Hope
fine if
has-
you don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to wrap my head around
My secretary
it.
does have that sheet,
Okay.
and I didn't
That's
think to
fine.
bring it.
No, you're
That's
good.
fine.
So,
Thank you.
But that would generally be accurate, because we weren't
Yeah.
allowing them to go past a certain limit.
yeah.
Right.
And now as of today, which was about $15, and now as of
And-
today,
86.
that's where
Correct.
those students are
Yeah.
in the negative.
And if you look at like meals,
Plus
year to
25
date,
meals.
there are meals that there are students that are getting close to 65, 70 meals that have not paid any, student for any of the meals.
So was it communicated to caregivers that had students in a negative balance that were getting meals, emergency meals, and not being charged? Was it communicated in January that students would start to be charged for every single meal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was an all-call for that. Yes. And then, Mr. Gomez, if you remember back in 2017, we sat down and.
I wasn't here.
What you,
Ms. White maybe. She was on the board.
okay,
We can
Yeah.
blame her.
okay. So we adopted a student meal charge where we were letting students charge the equivalent to 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches. And because it was, it's a different amount, and you guys have this sheet. It's a different amount than at the middle school and high school and elementary and reduced lunch. So those maximum negative balances are different. But the kicker was after 5 meals, we had the food service supervisor would contact families and they would no longer receive a meal until the account was sufficient, had sufficient funds added to it. So we had that kind of, discretion to call people. It really never got that far. It went to the principals and the secretaries, and they were taking care of it within like 3 lunches, 3, emergency meals, and we were getting the accounts taken care of. The problem we have though is our new board policy. And that's the last page. It's very vague on what we need to do. So that's kind of why we're here with this discussion is to try and rewrite the plan on what to do.
Going back to these,
Yes.
do we have any even qualitative data on like what's going on at Lincoln? Because that's a huge building and they don't have any like big balances. Like their biggest balance is $7. So I was just wondering, like, do we know what is happening positively at Lincoln?
I have an idea. This plan that we wrote in 2017, it came from Lincoln.
Okay.
So that this whole, you'll get 2 emergency meals, and then after 3, your principal will call, or a secretary or counselor will call. And again, it was taken care of right then and there. back in 2018, 19, I only had to call 3 families to say, hey, you don't have any money in your account, can you either pay, pack their lunch, or we won't serve them. I only had to do that 3 times because it was working so well that we were getting families to pay. And I knew it was going to be a challenge this year because we went from 2 years of free lunches, and then you know, we're having this trouble with families even filling out the applications or even adding money to their accounts. So.
And I'm correct that we cannot require families to fill out that application, correct?
No.
It has to be on a volunteer.
Yeah.
It's not something we could require every family in the district to do.
No,
It's
and,
not legal to
and
do.
we offer it to every family. It's
Right.
it's on our
It is
final
illegal.
forms. We send it out as much as possible. So yeah, you know, our principals are giving us, secretaries are notifying, and teachers, they're notifying us and asking us to contact the family just to check on them to see if they could qualify, and we're doing that daily. So.
Because that's something we've worked on, and Ms. Doyclay helped and Chris Shaw helped, because it wasn't part of like that final forms
Right.
packet. So it was like parents had to go out, or they had to know, and so they made it, not me, cause I didn't do any of the work, they made it part of that packet.
Correct.
So you know, you can skip it certainly if you don't wanna fill it out at all, but it's just there for every family. It's not, it just took that extra step of families having to go to get that form, so.
Can we, on the final forms, if they skip it, can we put something in where they would get like an email reminder, hey, don't forget to fill that form out? Or you have one form missing to fill out. At my son's school, they have, if I miss a form to fill out, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fill that out later. I get an email, one form to review, and it's still actually on his like little progress book thing. You still have one form to review.
Ryan, is that a question you can answer?
I think Chris Shaw might know a little bit better. That could be a final forms thing. I'd be interested to know what form, districts always want the next form solution because they're never happy with the one they have. So I'd be curious to see what that school is using and what we could, maybe it's the same system, maybe it's not, we'd always let them know.
I think what it does is it takes you to our application, but you have the option of clicking, no, I don't want to fill it out. So then with that option, you know, we assume you don't need the application, but, you know, maybe some families still need to fill it out.
I
We
believe
put on there,
that's
when we click out, I would like to be 100% financially responsible for my children's lunches and breakfast. Click here.
Yeah, I think
Or
it's
click
set up
there.
that way, like yes or no. So, yes, final forms does have the like, you still have to fill this out, or don't forget, because I get those
I
sometimes
have
for
gotten
my
those from
kids.
final forms too.
But if they say no, then they've completed that form.
Yeah.
And do we have it where it pops up on Pay Schools as well?
Yeah.
When you go to, it is on there. Okay, I thought it was. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure I was remembering correctly. Where it's kind of a pop-up, but then they can click, I don't ever want to see this again, I think.
Yeah,
And then it won't pop up anymore, or they can fill it out, so,
Yep.
yeah.
I have a couple concerns about going back to this. One is, well, I think we know from Ms. Stoyclay and her department dealing is that some of these, and probably a small minority, but some of them probably are people that think they're, you know, just getting one over on us by not paying. I don't think it's the majority of people. So I don't think it's the majority of people with the fee situation. Most people ultimately do pay. But there is some of that is part of it.
There is a crossover of people that still owe fees that we show that are some of the heavier hitters on the negative lunch balance. There certainly is a little bit of a correlation of some of those real high numbers, not what you see like right now, but some of those over $50 amounts are some of the same people we've either dealt with, had conversations with, reached out to, and either reluctantly ended up paying or still have not,
Haven't
unfortunately. So, but those are just those bigger amounts. I mean, these ones where it's just kind of like this, I think there is probably some of it, especially for maybe kindergarten through second grade who have never been exposed, they've never needed pay schools, they've never needed anything like that, that, they don't know this information necessarily, because they don't have access to the system at this point to get it, to see, oh, yeah. So, at the younger grades for sure. It is something, I know that the high school is starting to look at all of our seniors. This is the time of year we do that. Do you still, owe fees? Do you have negative lunch balance? And things like that, so they'll start reaching out to those families to make sure that they're all, paid up or get on a payment plan, by graduation for those students. And that's the other thing, I mean, for our fees, we've offered payment plans, we've had, plenty of people on them throughout the last couple of years. Some of them are successful and they continue to do it, some of them, you know, kind of do it to push the needle a little further, and then, you know, we follow up personally and make phone calls from my office of, hey, this was the agreement you entered into, and some people just, oh, I thought it was automatically gonna come out, that's a thing. For lunch, you can set that up. That you don't have to, cause I imagine a good number of these $2, $3 things are, I don't look at, like, I don't go into pay schools and look every day unless I get a notification. But you can set up that if your student's account dips under a threshold, it'll automatically charge you whatever amount you put in.
Does it go to your email or does it go to a text?
It
Email.
goes to my email, I don't know if there's
okay.
enough.
We
Is
don't
there a
have a
text?
text, we don't have, Pay Schools doesn't have a text.
Pay school doesn't offer a text.
No, not, I've already checked. For a low bound, for the Pay School Central, there's not a text version. Every time I've asked, they
Do
said
they
they were
send, I
working.
know, like, they have an app. I don't know if it sends any notification, push notification.
It does through email, cause I get it.
Yeah, I get mine through an email, like your
Yeah.
auto replenishment, and it lets me know it's happened, like, you know, my student has dipped under and we've added this to that student's account, here's the charge.
Obviously, the best answer would be if we had free lunches again.
Yeah.
I know we do have people, working on that.
Yeah, and Bill
Yeah,
was
there's-
prepared, I asked him to share
So-
that
So,
update.
so in March, the School Nutrition Association members are going down to Washington, and they're presenting positioning papers. If you guys are interested in seeing those, I can email those to you. But, one of the topics is, universal free lunch. It's a 3-day conference to visit with senators and.
I would love to read those.
Yeah.
You wanna send
I
those
can-
out?
I
That'd be
can
great.
give them to you.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
email
you.
them to you. And then as far as like, on the state level, I mean, just this morning, I got an email, I get emails every day on different states that are, taking on the burden. Washington State was this morning, yesterday it was Tennessee. And, these are just proposals, so they're not, you know, through legislation yet, on the state level, but, there's 5 states that are taking on the burden of the, school lunch debt.
What's that language look like at all within there? You said there's proposals right now. Have they written up for those states, like
Yeah.
what they're looking at? I mean, Okay.
They're all written in.
They're all written up,
Yeah.
okay. I'll have to look into that.
And I can give you what the school nutrition members have sent.
Right. Well, that'd be helpful at least. I mean, that's part of our job too, is to push our state representatives
Yeah.
to, you know.
Yep.
Was the American Rescue Plan Act.
No, that's something different, but that's something a little bit different. But these are, again, the school nutrition, positioning
Right.
papers, so.
Yeah, I'd be interested in
From all
those.
the members of the school nutrition.
Okay.
The other thing that was concerning to me is that our reduced families, it seems from what you're showing that like some of these are reduced families that
Yes.
seems like they're struggling to pay. And so that's what really more than anything gives me pause is that you know, the cutoff can seem so arbitrary because it's you know, it's about numbers, it's not about situations, and I know you know that
Yes.
too. And so that worries me that we'd be putting those families in a pickle, especially as we all know that, you know, life is not easy financially right now for anyone.
Yeah.
Not least of which people with, you know, young children and all of the many costs associated with that. So that's the other thing. That's the main thing really that gives me the most pause. But I do agree that I think we need to do something because I think, you know, some of these people that have, you know, $85 balances and are, you know, not being responsive, you know, they're taking advantage of our school district and they're taking advantage of our resources, and eventually it gets to a point where it's pulling resources away from other students and other needs. So
Yeah.
trying to balance all these things, and I don't have the answer, but I do agree we need to do something. I'm willing, if we can get something more so like this written up that we can like more formally consider.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm not saying how anyone's gonna vote, but if we get something more like this, does that
Yeah,
work
we've
as a
already-
next step?
Yeah, we
Okay.
already sort of have a draft of that. We've talked at length at that. So, do you see what he's pointing to, Bill?
Yes,
Basic
yes,
policy?
yes.
Okay.
And that's what I would like to see too, because, again, it may take a year to get it going, but, I think something like this would work. I'm gonna look at it.
Well, we can work on that and we'll propose something to the board soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
But my concern would be that if, we don't provide an emergency lunch or something like that, they're still gonna get something to eat, but it's probably gonna be from a classroom teacher or there's still gonna be things that are going to be provided for the kids, but it's gonna be at a cost to a person versus, you know,
We
district.
talked about that too. Is there something else that we can provide for them?
cause no one's gonna let a kid sit there and not eat
Exactly.
anything, you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly.
And our food service staff, they, you know, that's the last thing they wanna do is turn
Right,
a
yeah.
child away, you know, so.
And and I think it's important too, like, intent of the goal, certainly not Chef Bill's goal, to not feed children, as I know, what he does every day is feed the students of our district and make sure that happens, and I think there's a way to make the policy in such a way that that is the goal, and yet at the same time, you know, I think we do have a responsibility to, fiscal responsibility, to make sure that, you know, some of these families that can pay and are just choosing not to, they need, you know, we have a responsibility to the taxpayers of the district to not have to pick up that cost as well, so balancing it out.
My concern is with these really high balances and with getting charged every single day, it doesn't take very much time for these students to continue to accrue another $100 worth of fees. And once they get to a certain point, especially families who are struggling, who aren't on free and reduced, they see that they owe $250. There's no way they can pay that. There's no way they could, you know, even if we're offering payment plans, if they need, like, it's daunting, and they are less likely to actually make that phone call and to say, I need help, I need a payment plan, I need whatever, if they've got this huge outstanding balance, because it's just one more bill that they can't pay.
And I also think that was part of the proposal, was that if we go to this policies, that we would kind of do a restart.
Yes.
We would start everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
We wouldn't
Right.
say, oh, you owe us 80. We would say, okay, you know, we understand that food service has $715,000. So we're gonna take this $3,800 hit, so be it, and
And
let everybody be
kinda
at
clear the
zero.
board.
Yeah,
Right.
clear the board.
Start over.
And I know in the past there have been many different organizations and churches and things like that that have called and paid balances at different elementary schools and things like that. And I know our goal is to not have this be an issue anymore. We want to stop the problem. We don't want to put Band-Aids on it or expect other people to be paying off balances. But we know that on some level, this is going to be an issue on some level moving forward, whether we want it to be or not. And as my question is, would it be possible for us to add something to have a fund for families that wanted to help pay? Like, if they're paying on pay schools, could we have a separate, would you like to donate towards the, lunch balance fund for family assistance or whatever?
Yeah, Ms.
Where-
Coco, we've talked about this.
So-
I see her.
I had the same thoughts, but
One of the issues with
Oh,
that
okay.
is
Kristy's
that.
about to burst our bubble.
I know, sorry.
Sorry.
One of the
Sorry,
issues with that is similar to, and I don't know if you're familiar, so like student fundraising for a group. I can't individually fundraise and say, I made $600, that goes towards me and my trip. If it's National Honor Society is going and I made 600 and somebody else did 0, it doesn't matter. It's spread amongst the group equally.
Okay.
You can't assume in this situation necessarily that students without a negative balance aren't also in need or a recipient of that. So it kind of has to be, a method kind of has to be determined to like equally do it. We can't necessarily just arbitrarily go in and say, well, all these kids with negative lunch balances are in need, because we have no way of really knowing that.
Right.
Knowing that maybe some of these aren't in need, and then on the flip side, maybe there are people that are paying that are in need. And so that becomes a little difficult. There are some different ways, I think we talked about with like the social workers and counselors who are familiar with families, and being able to get that information, but it's just another step instead of, being able to arbitrarily say, oh, well, we'll put it in and cover this balance, which is not ideal.
Well, I
It would
also,
maybe a lot more sense if it was just free and.
Well, yes.
I mean, and
Yeah.
that would, if you're gonna keep one thing out of all of the things that were
Yeah.
given
Yes.
to us in
Yes.
the pandemic, feeding children lunch and breakfast while they're at school seems like a no-brainer, but apparently I'm wrong about that, and I get on my soapbox quite a bit about that fact, and the fact that it's the most ridiculous thing. I can't even comprehend it.
and just I think it goes along with what you're saying. I think if we were to go, take everybody to 0, whatever a new policy would look like, I think that also gives us an opportunity to start better identifying who actually is at need too, because I think that's part of our problem now, is that we don't know who has needs that we aren't meeting, because we don't necessarily know who are the people that are just choosing not to pay because maybe they don't have to, and who is struggling and needs some assistance. And if we are tying these back into student fees, our policy on student fees ultimately gives the treasurer's office ultimate determination to waive those. So ultimately, because Ms. Brown's here, I'll use her. If Ms. Brown knows, this family's on reduced lunch, but I know the situation, they don't have 40 cents, and they just didn't make the cutoff, and they're never gonna have 40 cents. And so she could call Ms. Stoikoy's office and they could waive that. So that's a policy that we have in place that it's a lot of districts just say if you're free or reduced. We have a policy in place that allows Ms. Stoikoy to make those calls, and secretaries will sometimes call, say mom or dad has you know, this is a family that doesn't really have issues, but mom or dad has cancer, and so this is just a bad year. Can we waive these fees? Because it's just not going to happen this year. And then we can do that. And I think it's that whole culture of caring that we have, that we put these extra backstops in place as well.
And I think if we give that autonomy to make those decisions, I would feel better about putting something in place, because ultimately, all of us want to see every student fed and every day. And unfortunately, that can't be free. But whatever we can do to put in place to ensure that that still happens without, you know, bankrupting your department is, I think, the goal for all of us, so.
There's a lot of districts out there that's in worse situations
Yeah.
than
Right,
we are.
absolutely,
so.
yeah.
And maybe even including in, like, I know that letters are sent out if families like don't qualify for free and reduced lunch. Do we have any language in those letters that maybe say you didn't qualify, but if you are still someone is in need, please contact, and then have whoever on there that needs contacted, something like that.
It's a good idea.
We,
Yeah,
and
that's-
we don't, but we can
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
add that in.
that's
Okay.
good.
That is one,
Just so that they know that
Yeah.
there's
That's a good
other
idea.
options, so.
Yeah.
that is one of the downsides. There's a lot of pride in our community, which creates a reticence to sometimes admit that you need help, and that, you know,
Yeah.
we see, and I think we all know people in our lives that have
Right.
been those reticent people, because we see it in our community a lot.
So we're not even filling out the reduced or free lunch forms.
Thank you.
Yes.
So our next steps would be Bill will get together and create a draft of the policy for the board to consider. We should probably do that sooner rather than later, just so we can get this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep, I can, what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll kind of edit the one that we have, and, we'll go from there.
Awesome. If you send those
Share
also,
this.
stuff from, you mentioned they're going down DC, could you send that stuff
Yes,
as well?
yep,
That'd be
I just
great.
wrote the note.
Awesome,
Yep.
thank you, perfect.
Thank you for your time.
Yes,
today.
thanks,
Yeah,
Jeff.
thank
Bill.
you
We
so
really
much.
appreciate it, thank you, that was great.
So Bill, share that with me, we'll work on it, and I'll forward it to the board members.
Okay.
Okay. Now, item 4 is future agenda items. Didn't have any future agenda items to bring up at this time. Okay. And is it next month that you need to present on the ESSER plan? Okay. So next month we'll have a presentation on the ESSER update. Do you have to question? Do you have to talk about funds that are fully spent?
They just want you to provide an update twice a year on your plan and what you have spent it on, basically
Okay.
your budget plan. I typically do it in the same format we do emergency levy.
Okay.
So like what we've had set up and where we're at this point of the year with everything and what we've done in the past, where we're at it'll be probably as of the end of December, and then, how much then is remaining and what are the plans for that.
And then I will speak with Ms. Stoikoi at some point about preparing that deep dive into understanding the financing for our construction projects. Probably February will be the best time to do that. And then in March we will start our strategic plan monitoring, which I'm excited for. Committee reports, 612 core team, Ms. White.
We met last Thursday on the 19th, and I'm not sure I'm gonna get all these terms correct, but I'll try my best. The last few days, they were working on structures 16 through 10 on the west side of the building with the 2 parking lots and the utility, the lines is what I'm talking about, the pipes and things like that. And they start from the high area to the low to help it drain. The water and sanitary was worked on as well. They do have 2 more to go on Portage and 13th. The city will notify us when the storm sewers worked on, when they are working on them, the city itself. The RFIs are coming in, the pricing on the piers and so on, and that's again to do that foundation where they have to pack down, drill and pack down the stone and things like that. I did ask again for another BOE tour because I felt like we'd wanna go back and tour. And Jeff said maybe May or June, and they, they would have something at that time to kind of show us. And I'd also at that point like to recommend that some of the, other, past board members like Karen and Kathy and Tim Belby, who were so instrumental, maybe join us on that tour. I think they'd get a big kick out of that to see. And so just for that, so maybe in May or June, we can tour again. It's not that you can't go, anyway, but I just, Scott and Ryan helped, save some mistakes on the tech thing, and Ryan could talk a little more about that, but, they just looked over everything and caught some things that were, no, we don't wanna do that, but this is what we want instead. So that was good to know. We'll be out to bid soon. I think Mr. Gomez mentioned that already. We'll be going to bid. And they want to start January 27th, which is, Friday. And the target is March 24th. Start in mid-April to actually get that foundation and start building. So the OFCC, that final vote, it's good to go with the budget amendment, and the 2 LFI MOUs will be executed, and that should be done by April 3rd. The district, it's pretty much already pretty much all the things, but we did talk about the one student, I think was this one student from Roberts, or was it students from Roberts that wanted to design like a walking trail and path throughout, and we really thought, the core team really liked that idea, even putting up signs with mile, well, for me it'd be like a quarter mile, half, whatever, but at any rate, it was a really good idea to, I thought too, and the rest of our team as well did. I know that Wes Johnson is reaching out to the Browns for the turf, to see if they will do that. We also said that perhaps KJ could be our liaison there to help him, because he needs some help with that. So maybe KJ, and I think that's pretty much what we got.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Board policy, we will need to schedule a meeting, so I'll send an email.
Okay.
We have those 4 OSBA policies. So. I know, because they're not meeting. Legislative liaison, Mr. Harris, do you have anything?
I do not know.
Okay, and then student achievement liaison, you are meeting in February.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
comments, Ms. White, you're up first.
I just don't have much, but I did have an article, but I'll make it really fast. The art of the right question, asking for better evidence can improve how school leaders govern. And we know that the testing data, I'm gonna skip over that because we get that information, but are we relying on the right test to estimate growth, and are you viewing growth from the right vantage point? So it's really, questions that we should ask, something like, how does our district assess writing, at what grade levels and within what subjects? So again, it goes back to that thing of how much are they reading, what are the levels, the writing, and so on. And there's other things as well. Do our district's assessment measures measure emerging reading skills, including measurements of reading, like phonics skills? Can teachers see multiple measures of reading? Do we screen for dyslexia? We know we do. But those are the things, maybe the distance or spread at each grade level and subject between the lowest and highest scoring students, and how are we dealing with that? How do we differentiate instruction and so on? The other questions that I thought were really kind of good were the wellness, and if I can find them here. So the development of social emotional learning, and the surveys of attitudes and beliefs. If we would survey students, teachers, administrators, and parent surveys, about how they are doing and what they feel and so on. and think, and I think that's a good thing. Their attitudes and beliefs make it possible to analyze their engagement, and I think that's what we want. We want them to be engaged. And they can also allow us to anticipate students' emotional needs. So that was another part of this article I found really interesting. It did ask some questions about remote learning, you know, how, I don't, you know, I hope that's done, so I don't really, you know. But at any rate, it was an interesting article I found, because I have said this before, sometimes I think that we look at data, and sometimes other data might make more sense, and I'm kind of, I think we keep doing the same thing and getting the same results, and we cannot do that for academic success. We need to do things a little differently so we can build that success. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Coco?
Yes, I don't have a lot tonight. Just congratulations to Chris Shaw, and again, a big thank you for everything she does for our districts. I'm also looking forward to going to the One Act Festival on Saturday. I have to be a swim mom on Friday. That's nothing new. And just a comment, congratulations to all our top Tigers. It's always one of my favorite part of our board meeting, but specifically tonight it just hit me how important it is, and I know that this was the case this evening, that all of our top Tigers are not just the students that are the rule followers and the bright shining stars from kindergarten through 12th grade, but we also have students that are top Tigers that have had struggles and have pushed through and have had teachers and administrators that believe in them, and then when they get to come here and they're on the other side of that, it's really something special. And it just makes me proud to be a Black Tiger and to know that they have people in their corners. So they have a special place in my heart, and I know that that was the case with some of them this evening. So that's all.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, I just want to congratulate our top Tigers, Ms. Shaw, and I want to thank Ms. Stoikoi, Dr. Selico, and the amazing students over at DeWitt for this amazing recognition we got tonight. Just incredible. I can't wait. My wife's going like, something else for your office. So yes, cannot wait to get it up. But yeah, I too am going to be at the One Act play tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. And that's all my comments.
Mrs. Schaefer?
I have a couple shout outs I wanted to give. I know that, oh goodness, it just left me. They had a solo contest, OMIA solo contest this weekend, and we had, I wish I would have, give me 1 second, I'm sorry. We had 12 students with the top rating of superior and 4 students with an excellent rating, which is superb. It's not required to do that. They're spending their own time perfecting this music and going on a Saturday, spending all day at another school, playing for a panel of judges, which is nerve-wracking. We had District 6 Honors Choir at the high school, and I believe we had some students from Honors Band at Kent State this past weekend. I believe so. And congratulations to Wyatt Albrecht for his 3rd place finish at Suburban Leap Diving Meet. And the wrestling team is doing great too. They had some placements last week. 1st place, DJ McVicker in his weight class, Sergio Soloranzo taking 5th in his weight class, Dakota Wadis 5th in his weight class. Students placing, Antonio Johnson placing, Matt Wilson and his brother Zach Wilson also placing. Got some athletes out there doing their thing. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
I'm up. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, I visited the GSA, which stands for Gender and Sexuality Alliance, at the high school here. They meet during Tiger Time on Thursday mornings. They invited me to provide an older perspective as the older person that I am. But we had a good conversation about the policies that we have in our district, and reflecting on how those policies don't exist in every school district. It's a choice that we as a board make because we think it's important that students such as them be respected and valued. And Ms. Bogdan attended as well, which I appreciated. I know they appreciated, and they had some good ideas about some just like little things that you wouldn't think about, like how they print out lists from Progress Book for the subfolders. And since Progress Book is an academic record, we can't necessarily change their name to the preferred name in there because that's state law and we have that legislature, blah, blah, blah. But there are other ways to do that. So Ms. Bogdan then took that and sent another, reminder to staff about different ways to do that to make sure that we're respecting the preferred names of our students. So great work by the students, great work by Ms. Bogdan. And the week before me, Mr. Hutch was there, and they said positive things about him as well. So shout out to him for spending some time there as well.
They didn't say I was older.
That's so weird. Did you say back in my day?
Wait a minute, I go next month, I'm gonna be ancient by then.
You should go back to
Yeah.
And
Biden.
on Friday night, I popped over to Bullock. They hosted a movie night for all middle schoolers, and I got to try out Ms. Walters' popcorn making skills. She's a pro. She said she did work as one of her first jobs was working at a roller rink. So she perfected her popcorn popping skills on the roller rink, and she's still quite good at it. But they had a decent turnout of families, and I think the PTO president was a little disappointed, but I said you have to look at it as, these families chose to come, and what would they have not, what would they have been doing otherwise? They chose to be here, and I talked to one mom who had never been in the building, so because the PTO hosted that event, she got to see the building that her student goes to every day, so that was really positive. Sources of Strength here at the high school is now in their second initiative, so they are doing the Clip It, and they wrote little nice notes on clothespins, and they're going around pinning them on people, pinning positive message, and Spectrum News 1 did a nice article about that as well. And I will go see the One Acts this Friday, but also I'm really excited for our musical coming up in April, Shrek, and they listed the cast, and I'm really excited for the musical. So, and then tomorrow night, Ms. Coco, myself, and Mr. Schaefer are attending a professional development, learning more about negotiations. And then Monday, I'm attending a, weather permitting, all of this, a Northeast Region open house at Shaker Heights. And I'll report back more information from that to all of you. And I went last because I want to take time at our last meeting in January, School Board Appreciation Month, talked a little bit about what I appreciate about each of you, and I went last because then you can't talk about me. I'm a planner. I really appreciate Ms. White and I have known each other for a very long time. We actually got to know each other when she was still teaching and I was a student here at the high school, and I really appreciate her education background. I think having somebody like her on the board has really benefited all of us, especially as we're not all educated brains. It's important to have her perspective when we think about things. I think she helps us think about things in a different way. Ms. Coco is such a passionate advocate for students and families, but what I appreciate, because I'm a process nerd, is that she has really grasped about how the process piece and how we use the process as a board to make changes that benefit our students, and I really appreciate about you. Because I'm such a process person. Mr. Harris, I think with you having your little baby coming into this world soon, you're going to see everything in such a different perspective. But having somebody here that isn't so enmeshed in our district their whole lives like the rest of the four of us have been is helpful too, because sometimes we have biases because we're so invested in it, and sometimes we need the perspective of somebody else that hasn't spent so much time in this district. And Mrs. Schaefer is one of my closest personal friends, and I think only occasionally regrets that I convinced her to do this. But she's a dear friend, but I really appreciate her as a board colleague because, and part of why I wanted her to run so badly is because we would talk about school board stuff all the time. We always thought about things in a different way, and I appreciate that because she always challenges me to think about things in a different way. So I appreciate all of you. And with that, we're on to item J, executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1 is hereby moved that the board adjourn to executive session, consider the employment of a public employee or official.
A second.
And just note, there will be no action after this, so once we vote on this, the live stream and the recording will end. Please call the roll.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
We'll be in executive session at 7:58.